Hi. How you doing, Timo?
Fine, how are you doing?
I'm good. Oh, you've got your little toy there. I'm pleased you've got your little toy. Have you got your other little helpers there today?
Yeah, of course, they're always with me. But
Let's have a
they
look.
came with a special car today.
That's
That's
good.
my
Don't let this
son's
put
favorite.
you off, everyone. Timo does not know what he's doing. I'm just sitting here playing with all my different crystals and everything. So we've got a good combination of positive energy here for you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I can see Bob's here. Bob's going to go off and make us a coffee. Could I have a black organic, please, Bob? Thank you. If you could bring that along to me, that would be really helpful. So today we are going to be going through some of the questions that we've been asked a lot over the last sort of couple of months. So we've got a list of questions we'll be running through. But hello, everyone. You absolutely, Trisha, please do ask questions. So we will be prioritizing the questions from the people in the chat today. And then I've got a nice long list of other questions that people have either been asking as they've gone through the courses, through past videos, or through contacting me. A black orgasmic coffee. Yes, please, Bob. That'll do really nicely. So ask away, Trisha, and I will keep an eye on the track. And thank you, Andrew, for joining us as well. And we've got Doreen from Arizona, Bob from Australia. Let us know where you're all from. Hi, Michelle. Let us know where you're from. And Trisha, let us know where you're from. Okay. So since Trisha asked, let's kick off with her question about a dog with fear aggression. Would love some help. Do you want to start with that one? And that's something that I've obviously had quite a lot of experience with my rescue dogs as well.
So I think you should start with that one because when it's about behavior and correction, you are far better than me.
Okay, so Trisha, dogs with fear of aggression, obviously it's very complex and we probably need to have a detailed consult about it, but it's very common, particularly, please put a comment in the Trisha in the box. Let us know what your dog's history is. Is he a rescue? Did you get him as an adult, etc.? Because all these have a big impact, because there's a big difference depending on the background that your dog's been through. So the first thing I would say, even with dogs with aggression, I really want you to have a really good look at his diet. Because if a dog is physically out of balance or in pain, that can cause aggressive behavior. So the first two, okay, he had parvo as a pup.
Okay.
So the first thing we want to look at when you've got a dog with fear aggression is there a reason? Has he got a background that makes it, quite, like my rescue dogs have had quite a traumatic background. And so it's understandable why one of them's got fear aggression with another dog. So what I would do, Trisha, is I would do the dog nutrition course, and there's a discount code you can see scrolling along the bottom, because we need to make sure your dog's microbiome is in balance and physically he feels as fit and healthy as possible. Because if your dog is feeling physically unhealthy or out of balance, he will be giving off those pheromones which will make other dogs react differently to them, which will affect his behavior and he'll feel vulnerable. Just like often vulnerable humans react by bullying. The microbiome being out of balance, which, if he's had parvo as a pup, that still might need some work to get it back in balance, can have a big impact on behavior and stress responses as well. And then obviously we need to speak to you about the training, because, a dog park is a very stressful point for a dog that's got fear aggression. So I would be going right back to basics with some really good reward-based training with yourself, making sure that you're keeping him out of situations initially where he's going to feel confronted. And then building him up to safe environment. And Trish has already sort of added some more detail. He's witnessed 2 really horrific dog fights at the parks with me. So that park is not a safe place for him. So the fear aggression, sometimes it's very warranted, where he's clearly telling you he's not comfortable in that situation. So taking him out of the trigger situations into an area where he can feel secure and he feels that you're making the right decisions for him to take in places where he feels safe. So that's the place where I would start. And Tricia, if you want to go through that in more detail, Obviously, there could be some very good dog behaviorists with you, but you really want to make sure that you quiz any dog trainer or dog behaviorist to make sure, one, they're doing the training with you and the dog, because it's a partnership. And secondly, that you can then work out ways to improve his confidence, but don't forget about his physical health as well. And then also just have a good check and make sure there's no sign of any pain. So Tricia said he's been taking him on walks instead. He's been happy. So that's what you want to do. Take him right back, gain his confidence back. But if it scared you in the dog park, don't take him there. It doesn't sound like a safe place to be taking him.
Yeah, okay. And another point important would be some of the minerals and amino acids, when they are not there, they cause imbalance in the neurotransmitters, and these cause mood swings and fear, and some dogs get lazy, some dogs get hyper, some dogs get really fearful. So for instance, I can give you a good example from human world. Vitamin B1 and B6 deficiency might cause people to get suicidal. Like, sounds funky, but vitamin B2 deficiency cause someone to get a pedophile. It's hard to believe, but it's that important. So get the nutrition right first, and make sure that in that time, till you build up the confidence, that you stay in the safe zone for you and for your dog. But go to explore safer places, increase the territory slowly without being bullied. I think that will increase it.
Yeah. So right. And I have got quite a lot of experience. So, if you need further advice, but hopefully you'll also find a good local dog behaviorist to work through that's very sympathetic and can increase both your confidence in handling the situation. So we've got a question, Timo. Susan's Cavalier King Charles Spaniel has just started shaking the head constantly for over a week now. I've checked and cleaned the ears. They're okay. What else could it be?
It can be the middle ear. It can be the hearing center of the brain. It can be something that is, how you call it, connected to etheric oils or some detergents in your home, some smells, alcohol, something. I think go check the vet immediately, and let's find out what's wrong.
Yeah, definitely need the vet check, because quite often, particularly with a Cavalier King Charles, they can get seeds trapped down their ear that you wouldn't be able to see, and they'd need to do a physical examination to check that. So get it checked, Susan, something like that, because it can be very distressing. Now, Robin's Yorkie has clogged anal glands, just switched to wet food from dry. Will this help? Right, we've got lots to say about this one.
It is like, I am super thirsty. Which one is more helpful, Coca-Cola or Fanta? The answer is water. But yeah, it will. I don't know if it will change. It depends on the composition, of course, how much fat is inside, how it's built, the quality of protein and everything. And you can have far higher quality wet food than it is dry. That is also a possibility. But check the quality of the food first, because dry or wet, if the quality is low, the glands will not work properly.
So with that, I would really back up what Timo was saying, and I would really recommend you do the dog nutrition course, because wet or dry is like saying, do I want Burger King or McDonald's? Most of the time, they're both very highly processed and are not going to be doing your dog any favors. You wouldn't eat that food daily and expect to be healthy yourself. So you've got, if the anal glands are bad, it's a sign that there's an imbalance in there. It's going to be affecting his microbiome. So please, please, please do that dog nutrition course and get him on a decent diet as soon as possible, because otherwise it's a sign as well that other things can be imbalanced in the body as well, and it's very uncomfortable and it can progress. Okay, so we have got a question here. My little cat is in for an x-ray today. She has a lump with many parts, 15 years old. We need surgery. Is there a natural way to treat?
We have no idea what the growth is, what is built like, how your cat's rest of the health is, and what your cat was through all her life. And it's really hard to give you any kind of opinion, even not just advice, but opinion from here. It's impossible.
we really need to know, I'm afraid, you know, what the vet's diagnosis is, etc. In terms of whether, you know, having lumps removed, it's a complex one because you've got to look at the risk benefit analysis of it. But as Timo said, we'd need a lot more information, I'm afraid, before we can advise on that one. You know, feel free if you want, I'll show you at the end about how to book a consult if you want to go through it in detail, and really good luck with that. Where's it gone? Can you ask that question again about your dog?
Okay, so my daughter's cat has lost all the hair on her legs. The vet hasn't helped. She has tried super high quality cat food. Nothing helps. She licks them all the time. So first of all, of course, we have to define what super high quality cat food is. If you're talking about the price, that's not an indication always, and we don't know what super high quality is. But the thing is, if a cat is licking all the time her own hair, there must be a huge mineral issue, or the hair has a contamination that the cat tries to get rid of. One of the two. I cannot see any other reason for that. And visit the course, check what you can do there, and give your cat like 6 to 8 weeks time till the microbiome and all the different parts of the body gets used to have a better food, and then go from there. But I tell you, if you say super high quality cat food, you are talking about possibly ready-made food, then you are already at least one level lower than what you could do yourself.
Yeah. So again, the cat nutrition course, I cannot tell you how important this is, because so many problems disappear when you sort out their nutrition, and it's virtually impossible to buy a ready-made canned or dried food that isn't full of lots of highly processed synthetic ingredients.
Very few brands, very few.
Very few. The other thing I would look at, Doreen, also, if you do the cat nutrition course, you don't have to make the food yourself. It will tell you all the information you need to look at if you're buying or frozen food, so you know what questions to ask and what to check on the ingredients list. The other thing you need to check, Doreen, is make sure that your daughter isn't burning any scented candles, isn't using any air fresheners, and what cleaning products she's using, because cats are highly, highly sensitive to the chemicals in the environment, and this can cause, I've seen similar reactions with that. So check what the cleaning fluids are and go for pet safe. I love steam cleaners for those of us that have got pets, because you're not using any harmful chemicals. Scented candles are lethal. Air fresheners or plug-in things that pump out are lethal. So please check those as well.
Sorry, last thing, I jump in before I forget about that. So also make sure that you know where your cat is getting out. So if the cat is getting out and going through places, you have to know where that is. Maybe there is something outside, out of your control, that has a direct impact.
Yeah. Absolutely, because it could be getting into contact with pesticides or herbicides or something. If locals in your area have been spraying their garden, so ask your neighbours as well.
Yeah.
So we've got a question from Bob. Bob. Is hemp, which is better, hemp seed oil or hemp leaf oil?
Oh, totally two different things. So the seeds are actually where all the nutrition is to grow something, and the leaves are the nutrition where it is to produce energy. So they are two different, mentality of the part of the plant. So the leaf oil will have more oxidative qualities, and the seed oil will have more mineral and more denser energy qualities. So you have to decide which one you are giving for what.
Yeah.
Right?
So the very different properties as well. Yes, Michelle, the pet's choosing is amazing, and I specialize in animals self-selecting and self-medicating. My picture keeps going funny. I think I'm turning into a reptile. Shouldn't joke about this with this audience. They'll know what I'm talking about. So yes, that's really, really important. Now, just quickly going back to Doreen, buying a food that has no grains is still not good at all. There's loads of nutritional deficiencies. Timo, I think we'll have to do a show on that, because I get told this all the time. It's grain-free, it's good quality. Just before we move on, because this is so, so important to people, can you do a word on that?
Yeah, so, okay. This is very modern to bash grain in human nutrition too. So when we think that if it's grain-free, it's perfect. The problem is if the amount of meat is still 50%, then something else has to come in instead of the grain. Either it is fat, which is very bad for cats. High fat is a no-no for cats. Or it is a legume or some kind of other thing that is not rich in grain, but it's still rich in starches or other connective qualities, right? So if the food has something in it that is not meat, and this is less than 92% for cats, it's a no-no. It's not good food at all. Zero chance. If it's meat, 95%, then we are coming to a territory that is really good food, because the cat needs at least 95% meat. No other chance. For stress,
well, one of the questions is that someone was saying the licking could be stress related, and yes, and if your cat's got chemicals in its body or it's nutritionally deficient, that can cause a lot of stress. But also, of course, stress in the household can cause this sort of problem and this behaviour as well. So we've got a question here from Robin, a really good question. So when I was mentioning about the metal bowls, it was in relation to the CDS solution, because you cannot put CDS solution in metal bowls because it will react, the chlorine dioxide solution. But Timo, what's your view on metal bowls in general? Because we did cover this in the water talk that we did a few weeks back.
So metal is not a neutral environment for any food or water. It interacts, right? There is an electron interaction between the food and the water. So of course, from bacterial point of view, stainless steel is good. Inox is, again, another type of stainless steel is good. But these are all interacting with the water and with the food all the time, especially if it's acidic, any kind of acidic, and meat is acidic, period. So if you have a porcelain or ceramic, anything that is built on earth, that is natural. So whatever comes in, there is no interaction between the bowl and the ingredients in your food, or the food itself, or the drinks itself. So we prefer that because there is no interaction with any nutrient. For instance, if you have nicely fresh chopped blueberries or parsley, the contact with the metal will just eliminate vitamin C and many other nutrients. So you really don't want that. It's also can oxidize some of the fats. You don't want that. So there is no reason to use metal if you can use earth-based material, but you have to clean it properly.
Yeah, cleaning it properly is really, really important, because otherwise you can get bacteria causing a biofilm. So this is one of the questions before we go to some of the others in the links. I'm going to jump in on that because it's relevant. So one of the questions I get asked is cleaning. How often should I change my pet's water? And Timo, we covered in the water talk, one of the problems is people, particularly men, I notice, often pick up the dog or cat's water bowl, tip it out and fill it back up again without cleaning it out. Can you explain how dangerous that can be, please?
Yeah, that's actually, it connects perfectly with the Campylobacter question. Then that we can connect it together. So bacteria create a film, like they create a plaque on the teeth. They also create a film on the bowl. And metal, non-metal doesn't change that much. And in this film, they're protected. And every time your dog comes or cat comes into contact with this bacteria are reaching into the body. Normally, it's not a huge problem, but it can be a huge problem. So because if the dog is not healthy, it's not eating a healthy diet, is too old, too young, immune deficiency, after a surgery, anything, you are putting them into danger, because this film is a strong, how do you say it, a bed for bacteria that are dangerous and hard to kill, right? And Campylobacter is one of them. Especially, we have a guest from Arizona, or the North Carolina. US is you have far more Campylobacter than we have in Europe, and that can be a serious problem. Second thing is the food rest. Even if you think that it's just water, the dog and the cat brings food rest into the water all the time whenever they're licking it from their mouth. So the food rest is creating a new film too, which oxidizes, changes, getting toxic and getting metabolized by like Staphylococcus. And these are toxins, real toxic stuff that creates inflammation all the time. So you have to clean it properly, for sure.
Yeah, okay, that's really, really good. So we've got a comment here from Robin on I give my cat salmon oil. Now, salmon oil, again, we cover this in the nutrition courses. Unfortunately, salmon oil is genuinely very polluted. Virtually all of it comes from farm salmon, which is the top of the list of the dirty dozen of highly, highly contaminated food. So we really don't recommend salmon oil anymore, do we, Timo?
Yeah, I tried to source for the dog food company and for other places the highest quality salmon oil by the highest quality importers in Europe, and it doesn't exist. So they said it doesn't exist. You cannot have it because it's not there. So all the salmon oil is farm salmon oil.
And it's highly contaminated. So it's what would you recommend instead, Timo? Flaxseed oil?
Flaxseed oil is not bad, but actually maybe just a bit of coconut oil.
Yeah.
But do not use hair quality comes from inside, not from outside. So you can bring a lot of oil from outside, which is okay, but normally the food has to be so good that the hair just absorbs it from the skin or the follicle and just grows properly, instead of having a poor diet and try to
put it right. So if your hair quality is a very good indication that something's wrong internally, so you're looking to rebalance it from the inside out. So yes, Michelle, cats are sensitive to sage smoke. If you're using any burning incense, sage, I've got mine always going here, as we know, essential oils, it's absolutely essential that your cat can choose to leave the room. So never burn anything, even natural good substances, without your cat having the chance to leave, because they can inhale too much and overdose. So Andrea is asking, what can we put on cats' irritated skin?
Oh, that's a good question. So if you're talking about red irritated skin that's already scratched and it's already incomplete, compromised, then there are some how do you say it in English? I forgot the name of the plant. Calendula, but there is another one that is a very good one. It's typical for warming or cooling gels.
Yeah.
You use it as mostly homeopathic solutions.
Hypericum.
Then there is another one. Yeah, but you start. I will think about
it as well. Comfrey is very good for soothing skins as well.
Yeah.
So I would use a natural balm, Andrea. So first of all, you want to look at what's causing the irritation, but sometimes it can be as simple. Sometimes mine lie on an ant's nest or something like that, particularly my dogs, because they love digging in the dirt. So obviously, if it's something that you're not worried about that's coming from internal or fleas or something like that. So to soothe it, often for cats, you do have to be careful because they lick it off. So a little bit of coconut oil, or a little bit of a good quality calendula cream or balm, but check the ingredients to make sure there's nothing nasty. There's some really good ones, depending what country people are in, that may buy naturopaths and things that contain only natural. So I make my calendula oil with calendulator, macerated oil, and just beeswax, and it's fantastic and completely safe and a natural antibacterial as well.
Yeah.
You can also spray colloidal silver, and another favorite, which is 100% safe and really good, is green clay powder. And just sprinkling and rubbing in the green clay powder is incredibly soothing and healing.
And in some cases, Manuka honey too, but you have to find a good one.
Genius Pet. No, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't advise with that. I don't use that product or know it, so I'm afraid I can't advise on that. Yes, Arnica is another really good one.
Yeah, it was Arnica. Thank you.
They shouldn't take that topically. So you've got to be careful with the Arnica creams. And aloe vera you can use, but again, just make sure it's not got nasty preservatives in, okay? Because a lot of aloe vera has got preservatives in. So I have got, can you see behind me, my lovely big aloe vera plants? I've got aloe vera plants everywhere. And so I ask their permission and break a leaf off for them. They've never said no yet, but I'm not sure how close they are.
Why?
So, but they're beautiful, my aloe vera, and I do really love and appreciate them. But I also, you can get sort of pure allergy, but any gel has got thickening agents in. So just be careful that's not something that's going to be toxic to your cat. So Linda's got a question here, Timo, about a cat with diabetes.
Okay, so cats with diabetes, if the diet is good, they don't have any need for anything else. The reason for that is cats are normally zero glycemic animals, or 0.05% of their food is glycemic. Of course, protein also causes insulin to be released, and insulin is an important growth factor. So vetsulin is okay, but a very good high quality food makes the life of a diabetic cat very comfortable and less dangerous, let's say.
Yeah.
But don't forget, 1 gram protein and 1 gram carbohydrates create the same insulin reaction. The carbohydrates might cause it faster, but they have the exact same insulin reaction, right?
So diet is really key for Linda. Really key. And a healthy microbiome will really help as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. We've got a question here from Linda, which I'll just jump on, Timo. Humidifier and diffuser with essential oils. So yes, the thing is about essential oils are medicinal compounds. They're the most medicinal part of plants. So when they're using them, I use essential oils everywhere. I work with animals self-medicating. I've got them everywhere. But you must never diffuse essential oils with dogs or cats or parrots or hamsters or rabbits or anything shut in the room.
Or babies under 1 year old.
Or
they're
babies
also in this group.
Yeah. So what I do with essential oils is I teach people how to use them safely by the animals self-selecting them. And the key is, Linda, it's safe. I use diffusers all the time, but I never, ever, ever shut anyone, human or animal, in the room. So the animals have always got the choice to leave, and they will do. So long as they've got a safe place to go elsewhere in the house so they can choose to leave when they need to, then you're safe doing that. And I do use essential oils a lot with cats and dogs, but always by choice and never by force. So that's really, really key. So that's good. Now, CBD oil dosaging. Timo, this is an important one for both of us to answer, because this doesn't apply for the CBD oil. It applies to anything. So when you're dosing something, the answer is always it depends, because it depends what strength your CBD oil is, what size the animal is, what condition you're trying to support, or in how you need to use it. So, for example, if I go off to sea and I come back after 6 months with scurvy, 5 fruit and veg a day isn't going to put my body right. I'm going to need to pump a lot more into it to bring my body back into balance. So often when you're using natural products, if your animal has got an existing condition, you will need more to bring them back into balance. And once they're in balance, then you'd go to a maintenance level or dose. What I do with CBD oil, I never put it in my dogs or cats' food. I put it on my fingers and I let them lick it off, and I let them self-select how much it is. So that is what I would recommend. Because again, 1 drop, it depends. Are you trying to rebalance something that's out of balance, or are you using it for maintenance, and what concentration? Because CBD comes in loads of different strengths. Anything you'd like to add to that, Timo?
No, I would totally agree. And don't forget that, let's say, a small cat or a small dog has totally different needs in terms of minerals and vitamins and energy than a big one. So the same amount of it doesn't scale. It's not like, if my dog is 5 kilogram, I need 1 milliliter, and if it's 25 kilograms, I need 25 milliliter, because the effect might be the same in the same amount. For instance, some of the minerals or some of the things I'm giving, if I give it to horse, I give it still as a human dose, and it has an effect. I don't just multiply it with 10 and just give it 10 times, because it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't scale in a linear fashion. So it's really hard to just say how much to use. Let your cat or dog decide a bit.
Yeah. And the other thing I find with all of this, and this is such an important message, D. Bennett, I haven't missed your question. I'm coming back to the question about your Shih Tzu after we've done Sui's. But just going back before we go on Sui's question is, it's the more you understand about the substance you're using, the easier it becomes, because when you understand how it works in the body, then it becomes quite obvious about how you're going to use it and what you'll be looking out for in your pets to notice when you're getting the amounts right. But it's amazing how our pets can really self-medicate. And I know it's quite a complicated subject to do, but when you have, it just takes so much stress away, because they really do know what they need if you offer them the remedies correctly and let them choose. So Timo, a little question here from Sui about the little 5-month-old puppy who's lunging and barking at people and dogs and bikes whilst on the lead. Are there chihuahuas that don't do this? Have you got any comments?
Yeah, it can be, of course, a trauma, possibly by another bike or something like that. But sometimes, again, the nutrition goes off. Some nutrient goes too low, and suddenly the neurotransmitters stop working properly. It can be even with a metal like molybdenum or something like that, that just missing a tad, and it just stops the brain from doing proper judgment. So I would look at all the nutrient delivery you are giving to your dog. So how do you give all the nutrients? Are they absorbed? How your dog is growing? And the second thing is, what trauma could have happened that caused this? But yeah, it happened to my own dog. Suddenly it started to bark at people, but it stopped after a while. So
I think being sympathetic, as you said, Timo, and understanding that there's always a reason. I would just add that I would check for pain as well, because sometimes dogs' reactions will check if there's a pain somewhere. So just monitor your dog and check that there's no obvious signs of pain. And then a bit like also how we were talking about the fear-aggressive dog at the start, is if they're reacting to that situation, try and step back a bit, remove them, sit there calmly. I always work with my clients on controlling your breathing, because when we control our breathing and slow our breathing down, it changes our magnetic and energetic field, and the animals respond absolutely brilliantly to that.
Kids too.
And children. I should have done that in a few of the meetings we used to be in together, Timo. Perhaps I should have controlled my breathing a bit better.
Yeah, sure.
But it works brilliantly. So standing there, calming yourself down, deep, heart-centered breathing, which will give your dog the confidence and let it release any stress, can also really, really help with that. Okay. Joyce has got a 13-year-old cat who's been on lactulose for 2 years, no longer works. What else can I use for her to poop?
All right. So we always think that to poop properly, you have to have the fibers. But cats actually are not dependent on fibers to poop properly. But what they have problem with is with ingredients in the food that can carry a lot of water. Because if that happens, they cannot poop anymore properly. So, and if there is a lot of fat, they cannot poop properly. So they can only poop properly if the food comes in that are designed to eat. So if anything else starts to slow down the process. And of course, with 13 years, that's not so easy to just gloss over a small problem and regenerate quickly. So right now you are in a phase that the regeneration is not fast enough to cover for all the imbalances in the food and the environment. So maybe first you tell us what kind of food you are feeding, what's inside. I don't even know if you know what's in the food, because not everything is written on it. So let's find out what it is, and then I will answer your question more detailed.
Yeah, and D. Bennett's I'm going to come back to Jane's question about her 19-year-old cat. But D. Bennett, are you saying that your dog is on raw food? And Timo, this was one of our real questions that we've had from other leaders, is I'm already feeding raw food. Isn't that good enough anyway?
Oh, that's correct. That's a very typical question. The short answer is no. And the long answer is, let's say I'm vegan and I should be eating more healthy than the rest of the people, but half of the day I eat just chips and Coke. And it is vegan, yes, but it's not healthy. So raw food can be totally imbalanced and can be totally not healthy at all. First of all, raw doesn't mean the quality is good. Raw, it just means it's not cooked. This is number one. Number two, to make the raw food cheap, the meat or anything else that they're putting in has to be sourced from somewhere that is also cheap. If not, it's not a good business model, because it's not going to bring a lot of money. So if the food is affordable and still raw, then there must be something inside that doesn't belong there or extremely cheap to get.
And sorry, Timo, just to interrupt. So his dog isn't on raw at the moment. He was asking, should we try it? But this is really relevant to you.
Okay.
It's got to be the quality and what's in the raw, hasn't it?
That is correct. So, for instance, let's say we have kids and we want them to eat veggies, right? Potatoes are veggies, carrots are veggies, and the broccoli is also veggies. But if we are feeding them only with potato every day, practically he's eating veggies, right? So it should be good. It's the same with the raw food. So just because it's not cooked doesn't make it good. For instance, meat. When we say meat, let's say muscle meat. Muscle meat has 0 vitamin D, 0 calcium, 0 silica. Some of the vitamins are missing, and some of the minerals are missing. So if I would tell you 95% meat, perfect raw food, and you think that it would be healthy food, but it isn't. It has no organ meats inside. It doesn't have enough calcium inside. It has nothing inside that completes the meat, right? So that's why raw is not always good as, how do you say it, as a default position. So raw is good. Raw is the best way to go, but it is not a type of food. It just means it's not processed. But you can make crappy food also unprocessed. So it doesn't mean that it's good quality. It's just less crappy than processed crappy food.
Yeah. So on everything, it's always looking at the devil's in the detail, as they say. So yes, D. Bennett, I definitely would try it, but a good quality raw food. Now we're already at 42 minutes. We've only got a maximum of 10 minutes left, Timo. So Jane here, great questions, everyone. Thank you so much. Jane here's 19-year-old cat is on very high thyroid meds from last year and only has 2 teeps left. Any supplements that could help her?
Well, in this, I'm not even sure that has anything to do only with the thyroid. Of course, the medication might have extreme side effects on the kidney, on the liver, and also what type of food your cat is eating. It's very important. How much iodine is coming in is important, but also the adrenal gland has a major effect, major influence on what the thyroid does and what the thyroid affects. So it's a complicated question. It's a big case. Sometimes I feel here like Murder, She Wrote. You know, we start with something. Yeah. You think like it's the easy answer, but then the deeper you go, the more complicated it gets.
But I think you're seeing a consistent theme here. You know, the nutrients that what you put into your body in terms of food and what you take into your body in terms of contamination, both are so important to every single condition we're talking about. So it really is understanding what are your cats eating. I mean, you've done very well. 19 is, very good. So well done, Jane, anyway. But it's so important to look at those details. So Kristen is saying, itchy dog for 2 months, just gone on to JD dog food, scratching in the same place. Yeah, processed dog food, rubbish. Please re-listen from the start. I know you missed the start, but you cannot expect to be feeding your dogs or cats processed food and for it not to be affecting them. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So please do the dog or itchy dog, do the dog nutrition course and get your poor dog on a good quality diet. It's absolutely essential. Of course, you've got to check for fleas. Of course, you've got to check for chemicals you're using in the environments. But without the correct diet, your dog can't heal. Anything else to add to that, Timo?
No, perfect.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah. Okay. Again, allergies.
You missed something. Bob had a very good point. Can we come
Yes,
back?
yawning. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a very
Really
good thing.
important, Bob. Yeah, I'm just trying to get as many questions as we can.
And some of you, if you have horses, you can try this. So if your horse is trotting and you have them on the line, right? Just they're like light galloping. Actually, it's cantering, but let's say cantering, light galloping, or light trotting. And just stop your breathing for 1 second and then slow down your breathing, and you will see that the horse will slow down, start to walk, and then stop. So your action, your breathing, and your yawning, and the way you hold your body, your posture, and your neck, and your shadows in your eyes, everything has a direct effect on your companion, cat or dog. And don't forget, dogs are really dependent on their social environment. So whatever is alpha for them, you are doing, they are resonating with it, because otherwise they cannot exist. So it's a very good thing. Thanks, Bob.
It's so great. And they're so great to remind us when we are actually in a stress state and we don't realize it, and our animals are going to reflect that back to us. So they're really, really good for making us take care of ourselves as well. So Spicy Dame, Timo, her senior dog seems to be swallowing at the end of the night. Checked her throat, nothing there.
What do you mean by swallowing? It's like that? Okay, that it can be a sign of reflux from the stomach. It can be a type of tick from drinking. Some dogs have ticks. Can be a psychological thing, and I would check these two first. It depends on what it's eating, but reflux is a typical problem for dogs. And don't forget, dogs can puke very easily, like very easily. So the way from their stomach to their mouth is quite short, if it's not a Great Dane or something, and it can really happen very quickly, and it might cause this swallowing reflex.
Yeah, she says licking her the chops and just what you did with your gagging. Yeah. Okay, so check those things and let us know if that helps. You know what we're going to say, Karen, to your ragdoll, what beautiful cat, but ragdoll's itchy skin. You know what we're going to say. You do this, because otherwise I'll call everything. Food. What are you feeding your cat? What are you feeding it? Is it getting the right nutrition? Allergies are always coming from an imbalance in the microbiome, or from, because even if it's an external stimulus to it, there's still an imbalance in the microbiome which is causing an overreaction. So you want to look at the food, make sure you're feeding a balanced food, and that does not mean anything that's coming out of a can or coming out or kibble. So let us know what you're feeding. What are you going to do? You're going to hit us?
I want to show some. Yeah, these are drumsticks. I use them to just train my drumming. So the microbiome and the intestinal lining is as close as this, always. Like there is no gap in between. These sticks are good, Japanese. So zero, you cannot almost see. And they are in contact all the time. So if the microbiome gets from outside negative information, and I'm talking about real information, I'm not talking about woo-woo or frequency or something. Really, the bacteria are in contact with outside all the time. And they give the information to the intestinal tract, to the gut. And the gut cells decide what to do with that, right? So if the flora is out of balance, there is no way the intestinal tract can be in balance. And if the intestinal tract is not in balance, there is zero chance of a healthy immune system. And if gut and immune system is out of balance, the rest is out of balance. It's out. It's finished. No balance anymore. So that is that important. It's therefore it's important to know that most of the allergies, the reactions, the immune system imbalances are totally connected to the gut. It can be environmental, it can be food, lack of something, excess of something, or toxins or environmental non-toxic agents like some plastics that still irritate. Mechanical irritation can be eggshells, bone, something, or packaging material that you didn't know that your dog swallows from time to time, or just rest of your furniture that was chewed on, or your shoes. These are all, I'm not joking, they're all having an effect, right? And they can sit there in the intestinal tract, especially for older generation. So the animals or even humans are older, their intestinal tract gets lazier, and the strength of their intestinal tract gets less. So the weaker the intestinal tract, the more some pieces of meat or rest of something can sit there, especially in the colon, for a longer time. And that's very toxic. Mm-hmm. And it just totally destroys the balance. So that's why sometimes we are talking about clay and making these bentonite or other clay type of cleansing, because that takes everything with it and just kicks it out, because those things can stay there for a very long time.
Yeah, and you will also want to be looking, Karen, about, are you using chemical flea control, chemical wormers, inoculations? The vaccinations are a real cause of allergies, etc. So really, really important. So we're going to have to wrap this up now. As usual, you've all asked brilliant questions. Your questions were so good, I didn't get to any of the ones on our list, so we'll have to do another one of these. Sweet Faith, Zeolites. I do just want to say Zeolites, it really depends on the quality. I'm working with a brand that I'm really, really happy with now, that you will see on my catherineedwards.live website. It's called Clean Slate. Applause Chicken and Arden Grange, Karen. Well, there is your problem, because Applause comes from Thailand. Can you imagine the condition of the chickens that are raised and slaughtered in Thailand? And Arden Grange is a dried food and things. So you need to do the cat nutrition course and get them on a decent food. Now, I know when we're saying the decent food, we're not criticizing you all. We've all done it. We've all fallen for what's available on the shelves because we're all busy. And you've chosen the expensive ones thinking they're good. But when you look deeper into it, you'll see that they're really not, unfortunately. When Applause first came out, I thought, oh, this is wonderful. It's canned, chicken. They've got prawns. They've got tuna in it. Can you imagine the contamination of the prawns and the tuna from Thailand? So I'm afraid, Karen, the food is likely to be very, very toxic. So please, please change and get those nasties out the system. So,
by the way, if you follow the way of how we try to show you how to feed your dogs or cats properly, your vet will earn less money from you. So yeah. You'll win.
You will win. And Spicy Dame, my word, and again, this is not a criticism, okay? And Bob, I never got my coffee. Where's my coffee? But Spicy Dame, to have a dental stick made of wheat flour, glycerin and gluten, I mean, seriously, how can that be good for your dog to eat or for the teeth at all? So absolutely not. These were dental sticks that are called green something, Timo, and look at the ingredients. So no. Learn to read those labels. If you want to give your dog something good, a nice raw carrot to chew on, safe bones, etc. So, yeah.
If I give you an example, that would be brushing your teeth with powdered sugar.
Yeah,
it's a dental stick from wheat flour, glycerin, and wheat gluten is like, yeah.
So all these questions are brilliant, and none of it is a criticism because we've all done it. I mean, some of the things I've bought, either for myself or the children or for the animals, and then looked at them afterwards, I'm like, what was I thinking?
And I sold that food years long. So I sold it. So as I said,
Timo sold it. So it's all his fault, you see.
It's my fault, yes.
But it's, the more you learn and you change, and you learn and you change. And this is why we're so passionate about doing this, because you would not believe, by stopping those as much as we can to stop the harmful chemicals getting in, making sure your animals got the right nutrition to encourage a healthy microbiome, managing our stress, and when for all the nasties that we can't stop getting into us, really good products that some of the ones I really love. You will find if you go to the catherineedwards.life website and look at the products page, I only recommend products that I 100% trust. Okay. So we really love your interaction. We love the fact that you're asking such brilliant questions, and the fact that everyone here is really, really looking to, improve and learn to what they can do for their animals. So thank you. Thank you, Timo. Any final words from you?
I hope none of it is my final words. So.
Yes, I hope it's not your final words. Yeah.
No, thanks a lot. Actually, I'm not very happy because we couldn't answer most of the questions we wanted to answer, but we make another one. It's not a problem. Let's make it FAQ too.
I think what we'll do is once a month, Timo, one of these chats will be on the frequently asked questions, just literally where everyone can ask all their questions. So if people want that, give us a thumbs up. We would really, really appreciate you sharing this video, subscribing to the channel if you're not, and giving us a thumbs up, because otherwise Timo's going to go and cry when he plays with his little toys there. So please do. And if you've got any animal friends, please pass it on, because some of these problems, they're so common, and we want our pets to be healthy and happy. So thank you. See you all next week. What are we doing next week, Timo?
We are going to do a session about minerals. This time, organic versus inorganic, added minerals versus whole food minerals. We will talk about minerals generally. You will learn a lot of things that you never thought are important. And you can ask questions again, so not a problem.
And please remember, a lot of this information we're sharing is equally applicable to us humans. So what you're learning for your pet's health, your animal's health, is really transferable over to your children, to yourselves and everything. So, it's really, really, important information, and you're going to get some good information on the vitamins, minerals next week. So thank you, Timo. Thank you so much. You go play with your boys now. And thank you so much for joining us. And Andrea, thank you so much for helping out with the chat and sharing the links. That really is helpful.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, all.
Bye.
See you next week.